Thanks for checking out Macintosh Mania. Are you new to the Headrush Prime Core or Flex Prime units? Are you new to multi-effects altogether and you got one of those pedals and you're just baffled? I'll simplify it for you. Take you through the simple process of creating your first rig with great tone and great versatility without buying anything extra, without paying more than you already have. It's all built in. I'm going to show you how to understand it and use it to your advantage so you can rock on and rock out. Heads up, if you have a little experience with one of these pedals and you need a little more advanced training, check out my main YouTube page and look below in the description. I have playlists geared toward Headrush Prime, Core, and Flex Prime units. Check them out for more information. We're going to keep it simple. We're not going to get all fancy and do all kind of crazy multi-layered, multi-scene rig. We're just going to make a simple rig from scratch. And I will tell you, there are more than enough amps, cabs, effects, EQs, more than you can imagine built into this thing. Check out the link in the description below that takes you to the Headrush models page. It will show you everything that's included in these three pedals, the Prime, Core, and Flex Prime. There's nothing more you need. So let's jump to it. I'll be working directly on the Headrush Core, not on the desktop editor. So this is perfect for anyone who's very new and doesn't even know how to use a desktop editor. Okay, I have my unit turned on. And you can see one of my rigs that I have been giving to people who email just asking for it into an acoustic simulation. Sounds really good, really useful. But what if I want to create a new rig? All I need to do is go to the plus button right here, and it gives me a blank rig. Now I have set up a straight signal path right here. You'll notice that it comes in over on the left top corner here and goes out on the bottom right corner. Looking at my board, all we need to do is start with an amp cab. Let's start right here on the third block. Click on the amps. I'm going to use a Headrush amp. I believe this is a Soldano amp. And I'm going to just try it and see how it works. It's the Plus 89 SL100 Clean. All right, now look at that. Immediately it gave me an amp and a speaker cabinet. If I want to find out details, all I need to do is double click on the item. Shows me the amp, shows me the model, and the preset. We'll talk about presets in a minute. All the settings are right here, the preamp, the master volume, the middle, presence, and treble. This arrow tells you there's more adjustments to make. Bass, out level, brightness, off or on. That arrow says go back. Now, if I want to get back to where my main page, I just click on that arrow again. If I want to check out this speaker cab and see what the details are, I double click on that. And there's no preset, which I'll explain in a minute, but it tells me it's a 4x12 classic 30-watt cabinet, dynamic 421 microphone type. It's off axis. Then it shows you can do a little bit of breakup. You can have an out gain adjustment or amp gain. We're not going to mess with any of that right now. There's also something right here in the bottom corner, which is really great, and that is built-in EQ. If you want to change the EQ of this particular cabinet, you want to turn it on right here, and then you instantly have access to these EQ adjustments. We're not going to do that yet, but that's there for you. Every block now, including amps, has an EQ at the bottom corner. You can change the actual EQ of the amp by messing with this stuff. Second thing I like to do is put in a compressor. I'm going to put it right there. All I did was click on that block. I'm going to go to compressor. I like the Dynamic 3 comp, and I'm going to put at the default setting. That's all we're doing for now. But if I want to see the settings on that, all I do is double click on it. Once again, there's my EQ there. All my settings are right here. I can change them as I please, right? If I want to change that, I can scroll by my finger, right? It was at 21 something. Or I can scroll with this knob here. All right, let's put it right kind of where it was before. Now, let's talk about presets. So there's no confusion. Headrush calls this whole setup your rig, not your preset. It's called a rig. When you go into individual blocks, there are preset settings. So for instance, you'll see here, there are different settings I could click on to make it work differently. This is one of my own presets called Good Comp Dirty. There's also other ones down here, hammer, spit, suppress, tight AF, okay? I'm gonna stick with default for now. Let's leave that there. Now what I'm going to put next, I highly recommend you put your drive, overdrive, or distortion pedal right before the amp. Now, let's just say I thought, oh crap, I want to put more stuff before the amp and cab, but I only have one block. It's easy. Press and hold, pick it up and move it. Press and hold, pick it up and move it. Now let's just say another thing. Let's say you decided, oh, I don't want this compressor. Press and hold it, drag it down, See that? Drag here to delete. I'm not going to do that. If I would have let go of it, it would have deleted it. It's a good time to talk about global settings. You don't want to mess with too many things right now, but since we're at that point in the rig building process, I want to show you something. Let's look at global settings. We press this menu up in the top left corner. We see down the bottom right corner is that gear for global settings. Let's press on that. Now, auto assign foot switches is under the general tab. What's happening is every time I add a block to my rig, it's automatically assigning a foot switch that's on. But if I don't want that to happen anymore, I turn it off and then I just go back to my rig. And from now on, when I add an item to these blocks, it won't automatically assign a foot switch. Now you say, okay, but it already did. It assigned the amp, cab, and dyne 3. What if I want to get rid of those? I go up here to this little button, looks like a foot switch. It's the assign button. Click on that, and I can go right here. See this? I can turn it to unassigned. I got rid of it. Let's say I don't want a foot switch for my cabinet. Just click on that button, click unassigned, right? And this one here, let's say I do want a foot switch for the compressor. I can pick it up and drag it to where I want it. So now my very first foot switch will control the compressor off and on. But I'll tell you right now, I don't like to have a foot switch control my compressor. I generally leave it on. So I'm going to click on it, click the unassigned, it's gone. Now what I want to do right now is save this rig before I go much further so we don't lose all our work. So I'm going to call it new rig. Easy. Click OK. Simple. Now what if I think, oh crap, I don't like that name. Just go back into this save menu here. You can cancel and get out of there. You can save a whole new rig with a different name or keep the name as it is. But you think, okay, well, I want to change that. What's this? Drag it down like this. Okay. Look at these little dots right here. Press that and you can rename it right there. Let's call it new easy rig instead of rig easy. Right? There you go. Okay, it's done. Take this little bar, drag it back up. We're done. We always want to push this arrow here to get back to our rig. All right, we have our compressor, we have our amp and cab. Let's put a little bit of overdrive, put it right there. Scroll down, there's overdrive. I'm going to do a really cool one, the glorious drive. A lot of people like this one. I'm going to pick the one called breakup. That's a preset. So watch, let's look at that. Double click on this. Oops, I shut it off. Click on the button, it actually shuts it off. See the little foot switch? I can turn it off and on right there. But if I want to change the settings, I double click somewhere else and it brings up the settings. You'll notice breakup is a preset of this overdrive pedal. If I want to change the preset, which changes all the settings, I can do clean, boost, dirty amp, clean amp. You can do just about anything, right? And there's a lot of them built in, and then there's some that I've made my own, like I called one Rock and Blue Drive, MJ. You can use that. We'll stick with that for now. Now, let's go back to our rig. We have a rig that can be played just about anywhere right now, but let's add a few more things before we move on. Let's add reverb because I don't think any amp sounds good without reverb. Let's go right after the amp. My suggestion to you, and many people agree, put your compressor first, overdrives before the amp, and anything after the amp is more spatial, like reverb, delay, chorus. Let's go down to the reverbs. Now there's a lot of different reverbs to choose from. I really love the new C-verbs. They are a lot of fun, but there's all that 11 reverb is really good too. So let's go into that. And you'll see right here, it shows you all the presets built in. Let's do medium room. So this is probably more like a slapback sound, okay? And let's put one more thing after the amp. Let's try some nice, good old delay. There's a ton of delays to scroll through here, guys. You could spend days just messing around with the built-in delays. Let's try one that's a little simpler. Let me see. Dynamic delay is pretty simple. Let's try, this is my preset I made, but I want to give you one that is already set. So let's do a default dynamic stereo. And there we go. All right, now there's our rig, right? We could save this. When you see this little asterisk, that means there's been changes made. So you want to click up here and do save it. You could either cancel, save a whole new rig with a different name, or just save this one. I'm going to do save. And there we go. New easy rig is made and ready to be adjusted. Before you go through and make any fine-tuning adjustments, this is a good time to start assigning foot switches to control different things. So let's do that. So all we do is we go up to this little foot switch button, press on that, and we see here's our 5 foot switches right here. The first bank is bank A. That's the ones you'll see when you turn on the rig. Now, this is a second set for the Headrush Core. You can access this second set of assignments by holding down the bottom left button. But let's just assign some foot switches to a few things. The first one right here, let's assign that to the reverb, and we'll turn it off and on with that. So there you go. Pretty simple. I push this button, it turns off, turns back on. Now when you click on this, you'll notice you can make some adjustments. You can go back in and you can make it unassigned, or you can change it to something else. But if you click further down where the words are in a box, you'll notice you can change the name of it. So let's just call it reverb. The bottom little control section says moment, scene, or latch. We're going to keep it simple. Latch means when you press it down, it turns off or on. It latches off or on. Momentary means it only activates as you hold the switch down, you let go, and it goes off. On, off. That's kind of cool if you just want something that you only want to turn on for a few seconds, and you can just hold it and let go. I'm going to keep this simple and turn this on to latching. We'll not talk about scenes right now because that's a little more advanced feature. Now you might notice that the 11 reverb foot switch is colored blue. The way to change that is not at the top right there, but you have to actually go back out of this and go back to your main rig page. You go up to the 11 reverb here, double click on it, and the color of it is right here in the bottom corner of that circle. So we click on that. Now we can change the color. If we want it dark blue, want it lighter blue. I'm going to keep it lighter blue, and you'll see it change the foot switch color. I like that. Okay, now let's go back into some more assignments. We are assigning foot switches to do certain things for us. All right, let's add another assignment, but I want to put my overdrive right here. I like that close to the right side of the board. I'm going to click on the glorious drive, and I can change either the on and off. I can adjust the gain or do a high cut. I'm going to just turn it on with that foot switch. Notice it's yellow, not my favorite color for overdrive. So let's go back out, click on the glorious drive twice, change its color. I like to make my overdrives orange. My distortions I make red, overdrives I make orange. Just makes sense to me. Go back out. While we're at it, let's just save this so we don't lose all the work. Click save, good. All right, let's add one more assignment. Let's do the delay, the dynamic delay. It's right here. We can turn it off and on. We can adjust synchronization. We can turn stereo off and on. We can turn tails off and on. Keep it simple. Delay, I don't mind it being light green. I'm going to keep it right there. Let's save our rig. Now look, here we are. Let's go back to the rig page. We have just about everything taken care of. I don't have a foot switch for the compressor because I don't like to turn it off and on. But if you want to, we can try to just do that and see what it does. The Dyne 3 compressor, turn it off and on. And that's a good way to test how the settings on the compressor are working. So I want to change the color of the compressor. I don't like it red. That reminds me of overdrive. I'm going to pick a different color. We'll do yellow. That'll work. Okay, there we go. We have 4 foot switches, and then we have the tempo control right there. Now, if you don't tend to use the tempo control to make adjustments, you can erase that. You can unassign that. Click on it. We'll do unassigned. Now we have a free foot switch. We can use this foot switch right here. Let's try to do a little something else on there. Let's turn on the looper. What do you think? When we click this button, it's going to start and stop the looper, which I think is a great feature because I can be working with my rig and then turn my looper off and on. And there it is. My looper is set to stop and start by pressing that button. Love it. That's a newer feature. Can't wait to try it. Now it's time to fine-tune our rig. It's pretty simple, but the first thing we'll check is our input and output levels so we make sure our signal is not clipping right from the start. So I'm going to put on my studio headphones. You use whatever you think is best. All right, the first thing to do is to double click on the input monitor over here, and we want to make sure that we're not clipping when we play. All right, good. I don't need to turn anything up. It's going high enough without clipping. All right, now one last thing before we adjust. Let's double check our output meter. Make sure that this output level here does not get into the too much orange or red. It's very high. All right, so let's go back. We'll try to correct this by changing the input. I don't know why Headrush doesn't let you see the output monitor here, but it doesn't. I'm going to go down by 2 decibels and we'll go back to the output. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the rig volume down a little bit on the output monitor because I don't want to clip right away like that. It's okay to get a little bit of orange there. See that red? That's bad. We got to turn this down. All right, I had to turn it down quite a bit. Now, the fact that I'm clipping already like that tells me these pickups must be pretty hot or strong. So it's good to take care of this before you start making any internal block adjustments. Let's go to our amplifier first. Double click on the amp, and it's the setting I called My SL Clean. And let's check it out. I have the preamp 49, presence 43, master 89, treble 53, middle there. Sounds pretty good. Let's check any other settings. I have the bright turned off, the output level, nothing added. So I like the way it sounds so far. But if I want to, I can click on the bottom right corner EQ, turn it on right there, and then I can change this drastically. Watch this. I just added a lot of mids. We go down a little bit. Switch to my bridge pickup. All right, I'm going to leave that. I kind of like that. Now, go back into that amp, and you'll notice it's still called My SL Clean, but I made some adjustments. So I'm going to click the Save button up here and save a new preset. I'll just call it New MJ, that's my initials, Clean. All right, now in this rig, this preset is already on the amp, so it will now sound like that. Now, what if I click on here and go back to My SL Clean? You can hear it's muted because the EQ is not on, but I'm going to go back. Oops. Let's go back to the preset, change it to New MJ Clean, and there we go. Cool. Now make sure we save that. All right, good. Now let's check out this speaker. Maybe we want to adjust the output sounds of the speaker. It's on the mid boost preset. We can keep it there or change it to one of these other ones, but let's just stick with that for now. You can change the type of microphone right here. So here, listen to the difference. Listen to a Ribbon 121. That's a little thinner sounding, right? I'm going to go back to the Ribbon. I really like the Ribbon 121. Stick with that. I'm going to save this as a different preset. Just call it, for my sake, New Mid Boost. Okay, there it is. This speaker cabinet is now set on my preset called New Mid Boost. So we just made major changes to the overall sound by changing the EQ and settings on the amp and the cab. Let's save that. And we've already done a lot of improvement. Let's turn on the compressor and see if that makes a difference. Now here's it on. Let's see if we need to make some adjustments to that. It's on the default setting. I don't mind the way this sounds. I think it sounds pretty good, so we'll leave it right there. Now let's go to some more fun stuff. Let's make some adjustments to our glorious drive. Right now I have it set to Rock and Blue Drive MJ. Let's hear how that sounds without it. Let's turn it on. That's my neck pickup. Here's my bridge. Yeah, I like that. But all I did to make this preset was to make some adjustments to the drive and the level and the tone and all that kind of stuff. I could also go into the EQ if I want to, but I'm not going to. Feel free to do that. Let's leave that right there. I'm going to shut that off for now. Okay. So as you look down here, the only things that are on besides the amp and the cab are the Dynamic 3 compressor. Now let's go over to the reverb. Let's turn it on and let's see what setting it's on. It's on medium room. Let's hear it. Quite a difference. That sounds really nice. Let's shut it off. We'll use the foot switch. Turn it back on. I don't see any need to change that. Now the tone is up 100%. I might cut that back a little bit. Just a little bit. That's just my preference, okay? Now I like to turn tails on because that means when I shut off the reverb, it won't instantly cut off. It'll kind of fade into the mix. Let's go back. We are good. I'm loving this. We're going to save that rig so we don't lose our work. The last thing we're going to mess with is this dynamic delay over here. So I'm going to shut the reverb off for now. Let's turn this delay on. Okay, it's got some kind of default dynamic stereo. I'm going to look for a default that I like. I'm going to use one of mine. I called it real creative. MJ Good Delay. It rhymes. Okay, not bad. So I'm going to keep that. That's just the delay I want to use. And then I'm going to turn on the overdrive and delay and see how they sound together. So delay and overdrive. And I'll try my bridge pickup. Not bad. Now let's add that reverb in. All right, so what do you think? I mean, it didn't take that long to do. With all my yakking in between and explanations, I probably took up most of the time talking. The actual making of the rig and the adjustments doesn't take that long, and I didn't use any special downloads, IRs, special rigs, nothing. Only the stock items. You can do it too. Now, if you get to a point where you're like, okay, I want to learn more, I want some one-on-one help, or I just need that advice at the moment, check out the link in my description. I offer one-to-one video calls where I can help walk you through some more of the advanced features, or even if you're still stuck on the beginner stuff, it's okay. But please feel free to contact me through that link or send me an email to the email address below, or just make a comment and say, I need help, and I'll see it and I'll get in touch with you. That's it for this video, but I want to tell you, you need to check out the rest of my videos. I have a ton of videos geared toward Headrush Core, Prime, and Flex Prime, and including really cool stuff like using it with MIDI and how to get the best sound out of it. And leave a comment below. Tell me how you like this one. Has it helped you? Do you feel like you have a little better handle on how to use your particular unit? And if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section or click on the email address. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.